I think if you watch this video, there's a very good chance that you haven't figured out how to test creatives perfectly in 2026. So in this video, I'll show you exactly how to do creative testing and how to structure your creative tests so you open up new pools of audiences, lower your ad fatigue, and actually scale your store profitable because you tested winning creatives. If you don't know me, I have a growth company called Gabbers Consulting. We manage over $500,000 ad spend profitable, and we've seen multiple insights of multiple different ad accounts and multiple different stores. And so by now we know with the update that we have to focus on diversity, because if you do this, Meta will automatically just choose one ad from the variations and don't give any other ads the chance to properly spend and get you results. And so the first thing you need to understand is the actual biggest shift, is that your ad is no longer just the thing people see, it's the thing Meta uses to decide who to find. And so what I mean by that is that post Andromeda, the creative became the targeting layer. Meta looks at the ads and reads the signals, reads the data, and the transcript and the metrics give Meta the words, personal callouts, pain points, and so automatically Meta chooses to push the ad on the audience pool that actually fits to the callouts, to the avatar, because you can't forget the people who use the platforms inside of Meta, so Instagram and Facebook, are actually the product, and we, the people who actually launch ads, are the clients. So we pay Meta for the attention of the people who use these apps. And so Meta obviously tries to give us the best results that actually people buy our product, and they think they've did it through the algorithm. And so they try to automatically target people now because they created this whole AI. You know how much they spent to actually perfect this AI. That's why I always tell, right now you only need broad targeting. You don't need to do these target things because your creative does all the targeting. And so your ad is the signal source, and every element of your ad sends signals. Meta reads it, and then they try to find right people that see your ad. For example, in here we have Live Well, finally found a protein that tastes amazing and actually keeps him full. It's just an example, right? But in here you have the hook of the video, the visual, the creator, the setting, problem, offer, product timing, and the caption. And so the Meta algorithm interprets these signals by themselves to try to find the right people to show this ad to. And then they try to reach the right audience at scale. For example, fitness enthusiasts, busy professionals, or new wellness adopters and everything, right? So your ad now tells Meta who to find. And that means your creative strategy has to start with the buyers instead of trying to media buy your way into it. So everything needs to be clear before your ad is made. Pain points, use cases, proof and offer, everything of this needs to be clear before you create your ads. And if the creative speaks to office workers, everything else in your ads should feel like office worker content. Your call to action, your hook, creator, setting, visual. But now you have to understand that the creative is the instruction Meta uses to find people. But when the creative becomes the targeting signal, the next problem is kind of obvious, but not many people understand it. If all your creatives send the same signal to Meta, Meta keeps finding the same people. So your account can look like it has creative volume because you have many ads inside of it, but it's still reaching the same pool of audience. And so 10 new ads can still act like one ad if everything stays the same. Your visual, angle, offer, product timing.
Real quick, if you're not where you want to be with your store yet, I put together 2 free strategies that you can grab right now. I made them because I worked with a lot of e-com brands, and it taught me one thing, that every problem looks different at every stage. So I split it into 2 stages. One is for profit issues and the other one is for creatives and the low ROAS. Both are personalized to your situation. It's no generic template made with ChatGPT or whatever. So pick yours. It's the first link in the description, and let's get back to the video.
Also, a new hook line with the same body can still send the same signal. Obviously you test your hooks and try which hooks performs the best, but you won't target whole new audiences of people. So post Andromeda, small changes get less value, and so the same pool gets hit and hit again. And so this is what we see currently in so many ad accounts, because the frequency rises and the reach gets capped, and therefore you get ad fatigue and your spend slows down. So your performance essentially decays because your account is asking the same audience to respond to the same buying arguments you used for the 100th time. And this is why frequency right now is a very important metric. It always has been and will be a very important metric, but right now you have to take a look at your frequency. Maybe some people forget it, because high frequency often means one of 2 things: your ad is just very, very bad, or your account needs new creative signals. And so you have to make sure that you change it up. Don't just variate it if you're not testing a specific thing like the hook or maybe the visual. So the solution to testing is not just more output, the solution is real creative diversity. And so one thing I want to make very clear is how to get real creative diversity. This diversity means the account is fed different buyer signals, and this can be done by testing different personas, right? Targeting who the ad is actually for. before, making clear before you set up your ad, okay, this ad is for exactly fitness enthusiasts, busy professionals. Then you can also change the awareness stages. So maybe testing unaware instead of solution aware, going from problem aware to solution aware. One thing is also testing different mechanisms to get people to buy your product and different reasons why people buy your product, and combining that with different proof. For example, in one ad you got a relatable avatar, but in the next ad you try to make it with an authority, for example a doctor who talks about it. And then product timing, so combining this with events. The biggest example would be Q4 or maybe Easter or Valentine, and then combining this with a different format, for example static, so image ads, VSLs, or I don't know, UGC content. And when you combine that with a native style, so you use UGC content but you use different language and different fields, so also different language, right? Very important. If you want to target people who are rather professional, you use their language. If you want to target people who are really deep into fitness, you use things like protein. If you target people who are not really into fitness but try to stay healthy, you explain what protein is, for example. Or you use other languages like losing weight instead of tracking your calories. So at the end, it's not about making more ads, but it's about building the right signals to reach the right people. But you have to make sure before you launch your ads, please make sure what exactly you are targeting. Which signal are you changing, and with what signal are you actually combining the changes? Also, if you actually want to scale your store profitable, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It only takes a second. And let's say you implement all of this and you target new personas, you open up a new pool thanks to Meta. You still have the problem that your ads don't perform because they are boring and too polished and too professional. So one of the biggest levers right now inside of that diversity is native execution, meaning ads that feel like the platform before they feel like ads. Many people are talking about static native ads. You test with image native ads and you'll make $100 million a day. Native image ads with long form copy only work to find out the real desires and angles. You can't scale with only native image ads. It's a real business. Marketing psychology goes way deeper than that. And I know I'm going to trigger some people, but it is what it is at the end of the day. People study marketing for years and years. Eugene Schwartz, everyone. It's not as simple as throwing a long form copy made from Claude with an image that looks kind of native because you found it on site Facebook.com and think that you're going to scale to millions. It's way deeper than that. But native ads are still very important. And these native ads don't have a hype out of nowhere. There's still a reason behind it. And the reason is that native ads are just winning right now. Native ads are winning because they enter the feed like content. You can make the perfect example by yourself. Swipe through Instagram or Facebook and you will most likely skip ads that feel too polished and stay on things that feel like content. So they feel native to the platform. Because most viewers are already trained to skip obvious sales ads. You see multiple ads on end in your day-to-day life. You see some posters with ads, and so you just trained yourself to blend them out. But that's where you make a difference with native ads, because they blend into the platform environment. It literally looks like a creator post, a review, or just a normal story. And so this will earn attention, so people will actually stay and take a look at your native ads, because also the hook feels like something the viewers would stop naturally for. And this is something many people talk about. I think even Hormozy said it, that ads change into the native kind. So things that feel way more native to the platform, like organic content, will perform in the future way better. It's just a hypothesis, but this hypothesis so far seems to be true. But where do you make the pitch? The pitch comes after the belief is built. And so this is the difference, because native ads hide the sales structure underneath the packaging of this is an organic video, right? But the ad can still contain a full direct response argument. You don't need to be scared to sell your product or to explain your product in a native ad because you think they will click off. Don't be shy. At the end of the day, it's an ad and you want to market your product, so it can still have the problems, mechanism, proof, and product reveal, and a call to action, but it just needs to not feel like a corporate ad, at least at the start. And these native ads perform the best for unaware and problem-aware audiences because they need the bridge before you explain the logic of your product. So platform native ads win. Obviously, if you market on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram, it has to be different for each platform. And these also get watched instead of skipped. So the creatives, the ads still look native, but the strategy underneath that you had, what you did in your creative, this sells the product. It's only there, but natives only work when the idea underneath it is clean. And that is exactly where one concept per test becomes important. And so post-Andromeda testing needs clean concepts. Essentially what a concept is the strategic signal of an ad. So what you figured out beforehand, what you really want to target. The core idea that drives every part of the ad. Whether it is your persona, problem, hook, everything you want to test, you have to have one clear concept and one buyer you are targeting. For example, if you're targeting night shift workers who struggle to sleep during the day, the persona is night shift workers, your target avatar. And so every piece of the ad points at the same persona, the same buyer, night shift workers who struggle to sleep during the day. And that is congruency. And congruency creates way clearer signals, relevance, and learning for Meta, the viewer, and the strategist. Because after you created the ad and you tested one concept, this will give you way better data than testing random hook swaps on the body. So if you change the hook on the same body, the same creator, obviously you tested just a bit of the hook, but now you have a whole data revolving around this one concept. And so once the concept is clear, the format becomes much easier to choose, because format is just how that concept you figured out gets distributed at the end, right? So the format is just the vehicle for your concept. You have one core concept in the middle, and then you can use the formats to try to distribute your concept you made out in the first hand through different type of ads. For example, VSL, UGC, static, or founder ads. Founder ads work very good. So if you're not shy to step in front of the camera, I would highly suggest you doing that. Review ads for other awareness stages. And yeah, native stories, for example, right? So essentially this concept needs and can be distributed across multiple formats. And then you also figure out which format your target customer responds the best to. Because if you see statics, for example, performing way better than review ads and founder ads performing way better than VSL ads, you now know that with this singular concept, the people respond better to, for example, founder ads. Now you can iterate founder ads and create more around this winning concept. Now after the ad goes live, you launch your campaign. The account now starts to give you signals and metrics, right? So the final skill, and probably the most important skill for every single founder and people who are doing creative strategy, is reading those signals and turning them into the next batch that will perform way better. And so this is the post-Andromeda feedback loop, right? Every view, every click, every metric teaches us something. And so we have to measure exactly what matters and use it to build our next batch of ads way stronger, right? If you launch an ad, there should be one of two things happening every time, or you're just wasting money. Either your ad should be profitable and get you money back, or you went unprofitable, but you learned enough to make your next batches perform way better. And so you start launching, then you read the data, so you analyze. Look at the reach, frequency, click-through rate, hold rate, conversion rate, and then you figured out all the data in the place. What you do with this data now is combining this data with the concept that you tested. And so based on the data and based on the concept, the ad that you created, you can now figure out what exactly influenced the things in your ad. Then you have to set a hypothesis. So why do you think this was influenced by your ad? And based on the hypothesis, you have to make suggestions how you can improve your next batch and next creative. And when you have this hypothesis, you create the next batch based on this hypothesis. So you act accordingly, and then you launch again. And this is kind of a whole loop that compounds, because with each test you get way more data. Each test you improve your next batch. And this will perform like a snowball effect. I say it all the time. With each ad and each cent you spend on your campaign, you now know more about your potential customers, and you can create everything in your next batch around it that you get the money out of your customers. And that is the new way to test creatives. If you're a 6 to 7 figure Shopify store and you're looking to scale to 7 or 8 figures in 2026, click the first link in the description and book your free call. Worst case is you go out of this call with your exact growth strategy and the next steps you have to take for free. Or the best case scenario is you work with us and you will reach the next 7 to 8 figures in 2026. So I hope to see you on a call and speak to you soon. If not, it's a bye for now, but I will see you in my next video.